In KwaZulu-Natal, Mdumiseni Ntuli is with us now in our Durban studios. Mr. Ntuli, good evening to you. Thank you for your time on SABC News tonight. You say you've decided that those people who face formal charges must step down from their positions. Just for the sake of clarity, I'm presuming you mean people who serve in government, people deployed by the ANC to any position in government.
Well, thank you very much, and good evening to you and the viewers at home. Certainly, you are quite correct. The extraordinary meeting of the Provincial Executive Committee had a very long and considered reflection on the nature of the challenge we face today, which is a challenge that arises from the fact that a few of our comrades, including those who are in leadership positions and deployed in various municipalities, were charged with cases relating to the killings of other comrades that died in 2016 and the period between 2016 and now. Now, the PEC said part of the undertaking we made when we went to the National Conference, the 54th National Conference, spirit of that conference was that all of us as members of the ANC, irrespective of whether you are in the leadership in the party or deployed in a certain in the state, have a responsibility to act in ways that would ensure that we safeguard, defend, and protect the integrity and the reputation of our movement. Because if there is anything that is of value to us and the struggling people of South Africa, it's only the African National Congress. There's nothing that we have and own except the ANC, and we have to do anything and everything within our power and possible to defend the movement.
Okay, so then just to be clear, you would like the mayor of Newcastle, Dr. Nthuthuko Mahlaba, to step down. He still faces a murder charge. That would be the effect of this decision?
The mayor of Newcastle, as you would know, was arrested immediately after the PEC had had a discussion already around these questions. We know that he has appeared in court. He's appearing again, Nthuthuko, on Monday, on the 1st of April. The decision of the Provincial Executive Committee was that everybody and anyone who is charged and retained in custody, or not retained in custody but effectively charged and expected to be in and out of court to defend themselves in cases relating to the killing of our comrades, will have to be advised to step down in the response, to step aside and allow the movement to have other people who are going to represent it during the period at which they will be dealing with the matters that are in court. Now, if I were to deal with particularly that case of Comrade Mahlaba, the mayor of Newcastle, we are anticipating that when he goes back to court on Monday, we will then be in a better position, as it has happened with Comrade Ndobe and other comrades, to understand whether or not the charges imposed against him are of such a nature that he remain in custody or is going to be released and be able to be outside and defend himself while he's not in court.
Okay, I don't know from what you've just said if you're expecting charges to be withdrawn or if you're expecting the charges to stay where they are, but for him to actually be granted bail. Just to be clear, we're talking about someone who faces a murder charge. If they still face a murder charge, if let's just hypothetically say a person XYZ still faces a murder charge after Monday, you're going to expect them to step down. That's what you're saying, right?
That's correct. The PEC's decision is that these comrades will have to be given not beyond a period of 14 days to 30 days, because we want to be certain that we are not going to say to a comrade, step down, and a day later after we've made that decision, we then have an experience like we have had with Comrade Mluleki Ndobe, who was the mayor of Gwala District Municipality, the Gwala, not Gwala District Municipality. So Comrade Mahlaba will be communicated the decision of the ANC, and he will be given a reasonable amount of time, as I said, between 14 days and a month, for him to voluntarily, in an event where he remains in custody and he has to continue defending himself on the court case, voluntarily step down, or else the organization will then have to take an effective decision to remove them from their area of deployment. And this decision is not informed by any ulterior motives. It's about an understanding that all of us who are members and cadres of the ANC serve the ANC at the behest of the ANC and our people. And when we are in a position where we are incapable to undertake the task of serving our people, we cannot be called the servant of our people. And it's important that the ANC must always, as I said earlier on, be defended by all of us, irrespective of the challenges that each one of us or individual members of the ANC are confronted with.
All right, Mr. Ntuli, I'm sorry to be so specific here, but some of these things could be important going forward. Just to be clear, if after your decision today, if another deployee in KwaZulu-Natal is arrested and charged with a serious crime, this decision would apply to them as well. You would expect them to resign?
Most certainly. All of them will be given a certain period of time, reasonable time for them to either tender a resignation in the position of responsibility deployed in the state or government, or else the organization will have to take a decision. It's a decision that we've taken by consensus as a provincial executive committee, because all of us have accepted that the time has come where our individual feelings and our individual concerns must not consume us to the extent that we are deprived the opportunity as the current leadership of the ANC to think in a manner that transcends our own personal interests and think about the integrity and the reputation of the African National Congress.
Right, Mr. Ntuli, I mean, I think many people would welcome that, many ANC members would probably welcome that. But over the last, let's go back to, say, 2007, one of the slogans from the ANC has always been around this particular issue, innocent until proven guilty. It was just, 2 weeks ago, Wednesday, not last week, the week before, your Secretary-General, Ace Magashule, stood outside the Electoral Commission, the headquarters of the IEC, and said that people were on that list, even if they had been implicated in wrongdoing, because of that very principle, innocent until proven guilty. Are you not being inconsistent with what your Secretary-General said just 13 days ago?
No, we are not. We are not because the Provincial Executive Committee itself reaffirmed.
Mr. Ntuli, are you still with us?
No, we are not. I'm saying that the Provincial Executive Committee itself reaffirmed the commitment to our legal jurisprudence, which dictates that everyone must be presumed innocent until proven otherwise. And there is no deviation from that. The central question that we need to deal with, how do we attend to a situation where one of our comrades is still in court, but him or her being in court does not take away the fact that the nature of the case and the circumstances under which our comrades are arrested continue to haunt and in a way damage the reputation of the African National Congress. So that is a central question that we cannot avoid. We're a national liberation movement. We can't only be preoccupied by technical legal processes. We also have to think about the broader question about the integrity, the reputation and the standing of our movement in society as a leader of the National Democratic Revolution.
All right, I accept all of that, but I mean the recent history of the ANC will show that that has not been the policy that has been followed. John Block only resigned once he was corrupted in a high court. It was only at the point when he lodged an appeal that he actually stepped down as leader of the ANC in the Northern Cape. I mean, there are plenty of examples that we could bring here. Surely there is an inconsistency. I mean, I accept that there's an election and that inconsistencies happen during elections, Mr. Ntuli, but you know, again, 13 days ago, your Secretary-General said the principle showed that the principle of innocent until proven guilty applied to people in the ANC on lists in particular. And these are people who would be deployed by the ANC to government. Here you have someone who you're saying, at least one person, possibly more, who must step down because they've been charged and haven't been found guilty of anything. I mean, surely there's an inconsistency there somewhere.
Oh, well, look, if you follow the context within which the SG had to answer that question, it related to a few comrades whose names have been implicated in one way or the other in the processes that are taking place within the Commission of Inquiries. Those comrades are not yet charged. Those comrades are not yet charged with a murder or killing of anybody or any other comrade. Now, that is totally a different case. But of course, even if in the past there are certain instances where the movement has not acted in the way that we're acting in KwaZulu-Natal, you have to appreciate that the organization must learn from its own mistakes, but the organization and the leadership of each and every phase of our struggling must equally ensure that we do what is called struggling against our own weaknesses and improve every day, because if we take decisions in the conferences and we don't implement them, we are sending a signal to society that we are an organization that cannot be trusted because we are not capable of standing by our own resolutions during the difficult periods. And that is why I'm emphasizing that there is a distinction between comrades who are already charged who are in custody, charged and who are attending a court case, and comrades who are merely implicated in the processes that may not end up on them being charged by any judicial process or court of law.
All right. The situation around Dr. Mluleki in Ndobe. So he's arrested. I mean, he's arrested 6 weeks before an election. He appears in court. The charges are withdrawn by the National Prosecuting Authority. If I were in your shoes tonight, I'd be furious that this happened. Are you a bit frustrated that the police felt it fit to arrest him and then the NPA withdraws charges, as I say, during an election campaign?
I think firstly, let me reaffirm our confidence as a Provincial Executive Committee on the judicial system of our country, including the high-level task team appointed by the President through the Minister of Police to help us go deeper and investigate the killings that have taken place in our province. The fact that Comrade Mluleki Ndobe was arrested and later on he has been released on the basis that there was no sufficient grounds for him to be prosecuted. We see that as the African National Congress as one among many exceptions. In any process, there will always be exceptions. But we are quite happy that quite a few of people who have been accused of being involved in the killing of our comrades are in custody. Some of them are still attending cases. We do believe and we do hope that the criminal justice system will ensure that the law takes its course and ultimately there will be certain convictions when there is a discovery of evidence beyond a reasonable doubt that certain comrades or certain people were involved in the killing of other comrades. So the Ndobe question for us is not a question that can be used as a yardstick to determine or to inform our attitude about whether or not the team appointed by the President through the Minister of Police is capable of delivering in its mandate. We believe that they are doing well. There will be exception. In any process, there are exceptions. And if there is one exception, it should not be used as the basis upon which we define whether or not the team is capable of doing that work.
Mr. Ntuli, all of this is going on. We have various claims. Some of them are true, some of them are not true. Are you worried that all of this, the court action, the charges, the withdrawal in some cases, are you worried it's going to affect how the ANC does in KwaZulu-Natal?
No, the ANC will not be affected by what is happening in the court cases. Look, members of the ANC understand, and the supporters of the ANC have always been behind the Provincial Executive Committee from the time when it called for the Premier to appoint a Commission of Inquiry, which was done and led by the Moerane Commission of Inquiry, from the time when the Provincial Executive Committee also called on the President of the Republic, Comrade President Cyril Ramaphosa, to appoint a special investigating team that is going to focus on these killings. In that process, the PEC has been moving along quite very well with not only members of the ANC but also the population of KwaZulu-Natal. And these people are aware that our commitment to deal with these matters, which have been very painful with the loss of lives of many of our comrades, remain deeply rooted in the understanding and the undertaking that we need to ensure that those who are perpetrators must face the law, and those who are perpetrators must be arrested. And we have been very clear from the beginning that irrespective of where the perpetrator comes from and the uniform they wear, anybody who is found to be acting in a manner that is inconsistent with the law, irrespective of where they belong in terms of their political persuasion, must face the consequences. Now, the people of KwaZulu-Natal understand that, and this is not going to in any way affect the extent to which they believe and trust the African National Congress. In fact, when the ANC comes out and say wrongdoing must be rooted out, even if it's within our own ranks, it gives confidence to our people that we are not a fake leadership. Not a leadership that is avoiding difficult challenges and difficulties when they are facing the ANC, but we are committed to ensure that we go deeper in order for those victims and their families to sleep knowing that they can depend on the ANC to defend them, and they can depend on the ANC to work with them to see to it that ultimately the truth is uncovered.
Mdumiseni Ntuli, sir, thank you very much indeed for your time here on SABC News. Of course, the Provincial Secretary for the ANC in KwaZulu-Natal. Stay with us, more to come on this very important subject. You'll hear from the Violence Monitor, Mary